Hi everyone, welcome to Clone Compounding. Our mission is to learn from others with the goal to achieve financial independence. My name is VT and I'm an amateur investor. I'm always looking for good content on company updates, analysis, and valuations, and there's some great content on YouTube. But one of the things I struggled with is to find one place where I can see company analysis and valuations from various good finance and investment YouTubers. So I decided to compile this in one place, and I thought this can be helpful to others. So I'll be sharing it. Disclaimer that this is for information and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own due diligence. With that, let's dive in. Today, we'll be talking about Google, or Alphabet, the company. Recently, the stock price has come down enormously, and it's a good time to visit its valuation. So what are we going to cover today? We'll be covering three things in this video. First, a quick overview of the company just to set the scene. Two, a quick overview of how super investors are looking at Google, especially in the recent quarters. And three, the main topic, which is to look at the valuation and analysis of the company from various YouTubers, mainly YouTubers with a large number of subscribers. All right, so first let's have a quick look at the company, Google. Well, everybody knows Google because this is where you're watching this video. It's on YouTube. The core business of Google includes online advertising, which is an area they massively dominate. The core products in that space are Google Search, which everybody uses, and YouTube, which a large amount of users use. They also have other services, things like the Play Store on Android, various kinds of subscription services, etc. In addition, they have Google Cloud Platform, which has been growing quite rapidly in the recent years. And as more companies digitalize and move towards the cloud, it will have a huge tailwind. Google also has other bets. This is their venture capital or private equity division, where they own companies like Waymo, DeepMind, and quite a few other players. Looking at the financials, you can see that advertising brought in nearly $55 billion in the last quarter, Q1 2022. And in total, Google had revenues of $68 billion in the last quarter. That is a huge, huge number. You can also see that over the last 3 years, the revenue has grown by roughly about 70 to 80%, while the net income more than doubled and free cash flow more than doubled as well. Let's have a look at how Google or Alphabet is looked at by various super investors. This is from a website called Dataroma, where you can see the portfolio filing data from most of the super investors. This is a snapshot from May 2022, which shows the filing data from up to end of Q1 2022. You can see that Google is in the portfolios of many super investors. It is actually the number 2 most owned company by super investors after Facebook or Meta. It's also number 3 most bought company in Q1 2022. Some of the super investors that have Google in their portfolio are Li Lu and Seth Klarman. All right, next, let's have a look at some of the recent activities by the super investors on Google. And what you see is that in Q1 2022, a lot of super investors sold Google. Maybe of note is the Gates Foundation that sold 100% of their Google shares. You see some of the big players, which had significant weightage to Google, selling parts of it in Q1. Quick look at the Google share price, and as of recording of this video, the share price has been tumbling down. In the last 6 months, it has fallen down by more than 25%. There's been significant downward movement since end of. So is this a good time to buy Google shares? Well, let's look at the valuations. Firstly, Let me state that all credit goes to the original creators for doing the hard work, doing the analysis, and putting it out there. I'm just compiling this information in one place for comparison and reflections. Here you can see some sources and their views on Google valuation, split by low, mid, and high case. A detailed sheet with all the sources and links is in the description below. Based on this is just a snapshot from a few of the sources, and you can see that, you know, based on their analysis, the market cap estimate is somewhere between 1 trillion to 4 trillion US dollars. And you see the share price range between 1,400 to 6,500 US dollars. I will be covering about 6 or 7 of these valuation analysis in this video very quickly. First up is Sven Carlin. We love Sven. You know, he puts out lots of videos, lots of great content, lots of good videos, and he has about probably like 5 or 6 videos on Google. 3 of them are fairly recent, but I picked the one from February 2022 where he, you know, some of the key points he talks about is that this is a top position of Seth Klarman and he is still buying. He also talks about the Morningstar valuation for Google, which is somewhere in the range of 3,600 US dollars per share. He talks about the upcoming 20-to-1 split, strong buybacks in 2021, and he briefly talks about risks mainly from regulation, but concludes that this may not be material enough, you know, given the size and given the scale of Google. You know, there are 3 different valuation scenarios. You see that the low case is somewhere around $2,000 per share and a high case is somewhere around $4,000 per share. You see some of the assumptions he's making very briefly on the... Let's move on to the next one. Next one is Khoo from Piranha Profits, and we love Adam as well. I mean, he puts out a lot of good content. I'm always looking forward to his videos. The key points he mentions in his video, which is from Feb 2022 as well, is the revenue, net income, free cash flow, growth is awesome. He goes a little bit deeper into the 20-to-1 split that is coming up in July 2022. And he says that there's of course no change in intrinsic value from that, but there may be some positives out of it. For instance, a possibility for inclusion in Dow Jones, easier to do. It also sort of makes it easier to do options when the stock price is slightly lower because you can buy those 100 shares, etc. And he does a bit more review of the pattern of Apple stock after its split. There's only like one case that I could see from his analysis briefly, which is the mid case in my view, which is around $3,700 per share, you know, with the assumption that you see on the screen. All right, next up is the team from Everything Money. They do a great job of putting out regular content and they analyze lots of different companies. So again, you know, guys, please go there and subscribe to their channel. They put out a Google update video a couple of times in the last 6 months, and I've just picked the one from December 2021, which is about 6 months ago. And some of the key points that they cover is that they cover their 8-pillar analysis, which is the framework around which they do valuations, or at least make the final call on whether whether a company is worth buying or not. For Google, you know, it passes on 6 of those pillars. So 5-year return on invested capital, of course, the revenue growth, free cash flow growth, net income growth. Shares outstanding have been going down, so that's a positive. And the net debt, I mean, Google has net cash, so it clearly, you know, comes out good on those measures. It fails on 5-year price to earnings ratio and 5-year price to free cash flow. These valuations, so you know, they kind of put in the revenue growth assumptions that you can see on the screen: 10%, 15%, 20%. The low case comes out somewhere around $1,400 a share, to the mid case being $2,400 and the high case being $3,800 a share. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video, then smash that like button and subscribe for more such videos. Next one up is Professor Aswath Damodaran, who has a great YouTube channel, and he's sort of also very regular in putting out some new videos and quite in-depth videos, I must add. He put out a video in April 2022 that covered the FANG-M space. So that's Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and Microsoft. So in that video that covered these big tech companies, he also looked at Google, and again, no surprise, strong revenue and net income growth. He talks about that. He talks about some of the challenges from the regulators that the company might be facing. And in his February 2022 narrative for the company, this is kind of his summary. So search and online ads will remain the core, but investment in other areas will start delivering profits. So that's kind of his single line, single statement summary of the narrative of the company. And in his valuations, the folks who have watched Professor Aswath Damodaran will see that he's sort of fairly strict in his valuation. And so the outcomes that he's projecting from that April 2022 video is around $1,900 per share to a high case of $2,800 per share. 2022. And some of the key that more than 50% of revenue for Google comes from outside of US. So that gives them a good way of diversifying against the US dollar. The valuation is driven by strong underlying fundamentals, which is not a surprise given what others have talked about. He also says that Google other services and other bets are doing well. And Google services business alone, I think this is the point that he tries to make with some detail, is that the Google services business alone might be worth two different valuation scenarios that he covers, with his low case being somewhere around $3,100 to the high case being $6,500. Again, you can see some of the assumptions out there. From Rational Investing, another YouTuber that I really follow and really enjoy watching his videos. He put out a video from last year, May 2021, where he covers Google in some detail. And he sort of looks at 5 key attributes. That's kind of his framework. He looks around those 5 key attributes. Revenue growth, he looks at the revenue growth, 10-year average for Google is roughly about 20%. He looks at the EBITDA growth, free cash flow yield, 10-year averages, which are also pretty healthy. He uses 2 methods to do valuation, and so he does an EV multiple method and a free cash flow method. And so you can see the roughly $5,000 per share, and you can see some of the assumptions that he puts into his analysis. All right, next one up is Ben from RareLiquid, and he put out a video in April 2022 where he sort of does a very detailed discounted cash flow creation from bottom up for Google. So it's great if someone wants to learn how to do DCF valuation. And in his valuation, what I could see is that there's a low case, mid case, and you can see the assumptions that he makes for those valuations. It comes out somewhere in the range of $1,800 to $3,500. All right, that's all of the valuation summaries that I'll be covering in this video. There is a detailed spreadsheet with links to different sources, listing out many more relevant videos for Google company analysis or valuation for you to refer to. It's going to be in the description. For now, if you like the content, please press the like button and subscribe for more videos.